Colorado and Texas Tech. Joe, yesterday, the Buffaloes are able to hold on. They scored late, but 7-point game with 1 minute left to go. They do hold on and clip the Red Raiders.
Well, they've got a little bit of Washington in them the way that they play. I'm using that a little bit loosely these days with the comparisons where they're deep. They started a little bit slow. It took them a little bit to get going in the beginning of the game, but dude, man, I get so mesmerized watching this offense play and to see the big plays that they're able to produce. I mean, like Wester completely went off. Shepard had a couple of big plays. Travis Hunter, we know who he is already, had the big plays that we're used to seeing on a week-to-week basis. I really like watching this Colorado team. It's frustrating as heck because it feels like, and I thought that I jinxed them again. It feels like sometimes actually it's happened every single time that I've picked them. Every time that I've picked Colorado, they've lost, which was Nebraska, which was Kansas State, but they get the job done. They played against a really weak defense, and they took complete advantage of them. That is what great football teams do. You pick up huge chunk plays, you dominate, you kick the crap out of them. That is what you do if you want to reach the playoff, if you want to win the Big 12 title game. They are in a really strong position here where they're not getting enough credit. Where I think a lot of people overlook and a lot of people that aren't watching these freaking football games are going to just completely miss is that their defensive line is the best in the Big 12. That they are able to create some serious disruptive pressures, force turnovers, get back-breaking sacks that end drives. They had 7 sacks, 11 tackles for loss. And if it wasn't for the fact that they were running light boxes in the second half, assuming that Texas Tech was going to throw the ball more, Taj Brooks probably would not have had the 137 rushing yards that he did because they bottled him up completely in the first half. They played really freaking good. I'm in on this Colorado team. They finished the year strong. There's no reason that they can't be in the playoff.
All right. I think we need to have 2 conversation pieces. Number 1, who is Colorado from a national perspective? And then number 2, who is Colorado in the Big 12? Because you're right. They are a contender in the Big 12. Nationally, that's a different story. And I don't know which one you want to have, but we could have both. In reference to the game, you're right. DeLeone had 7 sacks. Morton was under pressure all night long. He took a lot of big hits. Still was in there and delivered some really good passes. And look, Joe, this game was close, okay? It was a 7-point game with 1 minute and 9 seconds left to go, and then they had the fumble and scoop and score with Shiloh, and that was the ball game. The thing was, though, I'm with you on the sacks. I know that they can actually get after a quarterback. In the second half, Taj Brooks got moving, as you mentioned. So it's a great win. And look, Texas Tech did the same thing to Iowa State, who we thought was going to win the Big 12 last week. But here's the difference with Colorado. They have athletes on the outside, and they have athletes all over the place. That the reason they're able to beat Texas Tech and Iowa State couldn't is because one team had better athletes than the other. One had more dudes. And when they needed a big play, they kept coming up in the fold. Sheduer, I thought, was okay in moments. I thought he was elite in others. 4 total touchdowns, 291 yards. The issue is, Joe, with me, I still worry about them not being able to run the football effectively, offensively.
That did kind of come up for me too, and that's like the only – like every team is going to have a negative takeaway that you have to acknowledge. And like no team is perfect, and I think that like if we're being fair in judgment, we need to bring that up because 60 total rushing yards, 32 rushing yards for Augusta against one of the worst run defenses in the country. Does this style of play work in the Big 12? 100%. You're not going up against teams that have the athletes to keep up with your athletes when you're throwing the football the way that you are. But if you do get to the playoff, like you were just about to bring up, and I didn't mean to jump on you here, if they go up against a team like Indiana or Penn State or Ohio State, or if they square off with Georgia or Tennessee, you got to be able to, if there's a 3rd and 2, you're not going to be able to throw on 3rd and 2. Like you got to be able to line up, run the ball up the middle. Like there are going to be spots where you're going to need to do that.
Oh, buddy, they can't do that. I mean, look, Big 12, look, they're more than a bowl team. They're a contender. Everything. Here's a conversation we really should be having. I mean, Joe, we're having a conversation about Colorado going to a playoff right now. Mm-hmm. Like, that is in pure insanity. So he took a 1-win team, and now we're talking about
amazing accomplishment.
Playoff conversations.
Yeah.
in reference to yesterday, I thought that they were so streaky. And this is how I feel about Colorado when I watch their games. I thought yesterday's game put their season in a bow offensively. Joe, they started the game out 4 straight possessions and had punts, had to settle the punt. Then they go touchdown, field goal, touchdown, touchdown, touchdown. And that's how they were really strictly. They were going off midway through that game. And I was like, man, at some point they're going to continue to separate here. Joe, you talk about this all the time. Great teams find ways to win. Joe, when they could not get anything moving offensively, at the end they had a punt. Then they got the scoop and score to end it. Mm-hmm. Defense came up with a big play, and we would have never said that about Colorado a year ago, that their defense is coming away with a big play the way that they did. Look, man, I like them. I think that they could be one of the better teams in the Big 12. BYU almost got clipped, right? Like, I mean, BYU showed some vulnerabilities there. But here's the thing, man. You want a real test about how physical a team is and how good you can be? Well, you got one this week, and Utah's going to be pissed off. Utah's going to be very pissed off. So you're going to learn a lot more about this team, too, in Colorado next week against Utah.
Utah is going to be a really good tone setter, because I think if you beat Utah and you beat them handedly, because like you're talking about, like they're going to try and win on the line of scrimmage. And if you're able to just completely blow past them, that's a huge confidence builder. But you just brought up BYU. I don't think that BYU can beat Colorado. I don't. This BYU team, man, is winning by they are winning by luck. Like they are one of those teams that like things just keep going their way. And I mean, as much as you
found a way to win a rivalry game, we can't do this to
BYU. I'm not discounting it, but like just like you've brought up with Miami, when you're winning a lot of these close games, that runs out at a certain point.
It does.
Maybe it ends up being way later on, and I'm jumping the gun a little bit here.
But Joe, they got to lose 2 games to be out of that conversation now. Because even if they lose 2 conference games, they're still in the conversation of all of this. So again, I get what you're saying, but
I'm saying that Colorado can beat them. Colorado can beat them for the
Big
12 championship game.
Colorado has the athletes to beat anybody in the Big 12 and go to a playoff.
Yeah.
Without a doubt. All right.
BetOnline remains your top spot for all of your live betting action and contests. NFL, college football, UFC, NHL are all in full swing. BetOnline is your number one source for wagering news, odds, trends, and predictions with both desktop and mobile access at any time. Head to BetOnline today and use promo code BELIEVE, that's BLEAV, for 50% off your first deposit. That is a 50% welcome bonus. BetOnline, where the game starts.